So hello everyone, in this audio class we will discuss the 20 most important questions from the chapter Spatial Information Technology, NCERT Practical Geography for class 12. So these questions will be very much important for your upcoming KVS NVS Geography PGT interview. So let's get started with the question number 1. What do you understand by Spatial Information Technology? So spatial information technology refers to the technologies used for collecting, storing, retrieving, displaying, managing and analyzing spatial information. So it is an amalgamation of GIS or Geographical Information System, GPS or Global Positioning System, remote sensing, digital cartography, database management system. For example, if we want to identify the best location for a hospital, for a new hospital, we need maps, satellite images, coordinates and population data. Spatial information technology integrates all these informations. Next question, why is it called spatial information technology? So the term spatial is derived from the word space. Spatial information refers to information that has a geographical location and measurable dimensions on the Earth's surface. For example, location of a school, boundary of a district, course of a river, position of a railway station, all these have specific location in geographical space. Next question, what is GIS? So GIS is a computer based system for capturing, storing, checking, integrating, manipulating, analyzing and displaying geographical referenced data. So GIS as a decision support system. For example, a district administration can use GIS to identify flood prone villages and plan relief measures. Next question, why is GIS called a decision support system? So GIS not only stores information but also analyzes spatial relationships and helps decision making. For example, before constructing a highway, planners analyze population density, existing roads, land use, environmental constraints. GIS helps select the most suitable route. Next question, what are the major components of GIS? So GIS have 5 major components: hardware, software, data, people and procedures. So for example, a GIS laboratory requires a computer, or that is a hardware, ArcGIS, QGIS, that are the software, maps and satellite images, that are the data, trained users, that are people, and standard workflow or procedures. Next question, which component is the backbone of GIS? So data is considered the backbone of GIS. Without reliable spatial and attribute data, GIS analysis becomes meaningless. For example, a sophisticated GIS software cannot produce correct results if the population data are inaccurate. Next question, what is spatial data? So spatial data describe the location, shape and position of geographical features. Location, shape and position of geographical features. So there are various classification of spatial data: positional, that is point; linear, that is line; and aerial, that is polygon. For example, point is shown through school is shown by a point, river is shown by a line, and district is shown by a polygon. Next is, what is attribute data? So attribute data describe the characteristics of spatial features. For example, for a school, spatial data is school location, and attribute data the school name, number of students, number of teachers, medium of instruction. Next question, can you differentiate between spatial data and attribute data? So spatial data shows where and attribute data shows what? At spatial data is location based and attribute data is description based. Spatial data stored as coordinates and attribute data stored in tables. For example, river location is shown by spatial data and river discharge is shown by attribute data. So spatial data answered the question where and attribute data answered the question what. Next question, what are the two major data formats used in GIS? So raster data format and vector data format. These are the fundamental methods of representing geographical information digitally. Next question, what is raster data format? So raster data represent geographical features as a grid of cells or pixels. Each cell contains a value presenting a particular characteristic. For example, satellite images, aerial photographs, land use maps. Next question, what is a resolution in raster data? So resolution refers to size of the grid or the pixel. Smaller pixels provide higher resolution and greater detail. For example, 10 meter pixel size more detailed, 30 meter pixel size less detailed. Next question, what are the advantages of raster data? So raster data, simple data structure, easy overlay operations, compatible with remote sensing imagery, efficient spatial analysis. For example, land use change detection is commonly done using raster data. Next question, what are the disadvantages of raster data? So large storage requirement, less accurate boundaries, difficult network analysis, reduced precision. For example, road networks are not represented accurately in raster format. Next question, what is vector data format? So vector data represent geographical features using coordinate pairs. It uses points, lines, polygons. For example, point shows a hospital, line shows a road, polygon district boundary. So coordinate pairs. Next question, what are the advantages of vector data? Compact data structure, accurate map output, efficient network analysis, high precision. For example, urban road planning generally uses vector data. Next question, why is vector data preferred for network analysis? So network analysis requires accurate representation of connectivity between roads, railways and pipelines. Vector data preserve these relationships accurately. For example, finding the shortest route from a school to a hospital is done through the vector data analysis. Next question, what is overlay analysis? So overlay analysis is the process of combining two or more thematic layers to generate new information. It is one of the most important GIS analytical functions. For example, road map plus rail map is equal to transportation map. Next question, what is buffer analysis? So buffer analysis creates zones around spatial features as a specified distance, at a specified distance. For example, a 1 kilometer buffer around a chemical industry can identify households potentially affected by pollution. More example, hospital service area, airport noise zone, flood risk zone. Next question, how does GIS help in urban planning? So GIS helps planners analyze population distribution, transport network, land use, environmental conditions. So GIS improves planning efficiency and decision making. So there are some For example, Aligarh city land use transformation 1974 to 2001 was analyzed using GIS overlay techniques. There are some factual questions from this chapter. Spatial Information Technology is an amalgamation of which technologies? GIS, GPS, remote sensing, digital cartography and database management system. GIS emerged rapidly during which decade? 1970s. GIS answers which three basic questions? What is, where, why is it there, and what if? Next question, spatial data occur in how many forms? Three forms: positional, linear and aerial. So what are the GIS components? That is hardware, software, data, people, procedures. Next question, main GIS software modules: data input, data storage, data analysis or manipulation, and data display or output. Next question, raster data consists of rows and columns of grid cells or pixels. Vector data consists of point, line and polygon. So which data model is compatible with satellite imagery? Raster model. Which data model provides accurate map output? Vector model. Which GIS operation is used in urban change detection? Overlay analysis. Which GIS operation is in service area analysis? Buffer analysis. Which operation helps identify areas within a fixed distance? Buffering. So which years compared in Aligarh land use study? 1974 to 2001. What does GIS primarily support? Decision making. What is the backbone of GIS? Data. What is meant by georeferencing? Assigning real world coordinates to spatial data. Which data format requires more storage? Raster. Which data format is based for road networks? Vector. So there is a more bonus closing statement from this chapter. Spatial Information Technology integrates GIS, GPS, remote sensing, digital cartography and database management system to capture, manage, analyze spatial information. GIS acts as a decision support system by integrating spatial and attribute data and performing analysis such as overlay and buffering. Therefore, it has become an indispensable tool in planning, resource management, disaster management and sustainable development. So thanks for listening. Keep listening for further audio classes. Thank you.